Let's talk about the 3 things that you need to travel cheap for 500 US dollars or less for your next trip. So hopefully when you watch this video and you get enough information, you're going to be able to travel in 2026 or even early 2027 on your next trip. So this is really for solo travelers, and I'm targeting like, you know, Americans that like to travel solo. But if you are not American and you like traveling with other people, this can also work for you. But since I'm American and I travel solo, that's why I'm saying that. Okay, so let's go with the first one. The first one is you need to have good to excellent credit. So you need to have a credit score of 670 or better for this to work for you, because we use credit cards. We use particular credit cards. We use travel credit cards to get points. So they call them points or miles. Usually 1 point is equivalent to basically like 1 cent. Yeah, so yeah, it sounds very, very small. You're like, okay, 1 point is only equal 1 cent. Yeah, but when you're shopping and you're like using a credit card, you're not really just getting 1 point for each purchase you're having. So it accumulates pretty darn quick. But anyway, I'm digressing a little bit. But yeah, that's the reason why you need to have a good credit score, so you're able to get travel cards, because you have to have good to excellent credit for banks to trust you to even give you those kinds of cards. So that is the first one. The second one is income. So I would say you want to have an income of about $45,000 annually, and this is, I would say, before tax. So this would be like your gross income that you get. I would say 45,000 or more would be ideal, because your take home might be closer to maybe 3,000 a month, maybe net, approximately, somewhere around that ballpark. If you want to correct me, you can, whatever. But I would say around that range. And the reason why I say that is because you need to have a certain amount of spending habits already before you have these credit cards that you already do, because you don't want to change your spending habits to accommodate different things that the credit cards may request for you to get more points. So let me get into an example. So for example, you make, let's say that your take home after taxes is $3,000 a month, okay? And you have rent. So you pay rent, maybe you have a roommate, maybe you stay in a cheap, affordable place that says $1,000 a month, because $1,000 a month is pretty cheap for most Americans when it comes to rent. So that's what I'm saying. Okay, so you pay $1,000, but you have, the way you do it, you can't use a credit card to pay your rent. So you can't use that $1,000 that you've been spending every month on rent for your credit card. So what does your other spending habits look like? You say, well, I spend about $1,500 a month on everything else. Now, that $1,500 that you use for everyday purchases, you can put on your credit card. So any like utility bills you could put on your credit card. If you have to pay taxes, you can sometimes use your credit card. But I'm just saying the $1,500 you can put on your credit cards. And the reason why I'm talking about the income is because if you don't spend quite a bit a month, it's going to be difficult for you to get these things called welcome offers. What are welcome offers? So when you, let's say you've never, I don't want to say any particular card. Let's say ABC Bank has a credit card and they give you 60,000 points just for having the card. Okay, but what's the catch? The catch is you have to spend $4,000 in 3 months. Okay, so the welcome offer, you read everything looks good, you get the card. Well, that's why I mentioned that 45,000 or more, in a year, because if you only spend $500 a month, you can't get that welcome offer. You can have the card, possibly they'll give you the card, the credit limit, but you won't get that big bump of the welcome offer, which is 60,000 points. 60,000 points is about $600. It's about $600. So that's quite a bit of money you could use for travel. So I hope you guys are with me. I know I'm saying a lot. So that's why I mentioned you want to make sure that your spending habits already is there before you get credit cards. You don't want to be like, well, I really like these pair of shoes. I really like this dress. Maybe I should just, put it on my credit card. It's like, no. If your average spending habit is $1,500 a month before your rent, your mortgage, or whatever, if you already spend $1,500 a month, you put it on your credit card. You don't change your spending habits because you have a credit card. That's how people get in trouble. So if you already spend that money already on things, put on the credit card and you get points. So the welcome offer is great. They give you, usually it's 3 months, and they tell you how much you need to spend. If you already spend that amount per month or more, you can get that card, you get the welcome offer, and the points come pretty quickly. Once you hit that dollar amount, they put it on your account pretty quickly. And you can start using those points immediately, So you have that welcome offer, and then you have your everyday spending, you still putting it on that card even after welcome offer. And then within 3, 6, 9 months, you might have 100,000 points, you know what I mean? You might have a lot of points. And so by that time, 100,000 points is like $1,000. You can use that on your trip, okay? So that's the second part. That's the reason why the income part's important. The credit score is important because banks have to trust you, and it has to be a high enough credit score to have those special cards. Travel cards aren't for people with fair credit. That you're not going to get really good offers on that. So you need to have a high enough credit score. Income is important because you can't get certain welcome offers if you don't have that certain type of spending. Now, let's say that you are someone who don't spend $1,500 or $1,000 a month. Let's say you only spend $500. There are cards that have smaller welcome offers, are just not as great. But let's say there's some cards where it's you could spend $500 US. If you spend $500 US in 3 months, we maybe give you $250 on your card. Maybe as a statement credit, maybe as a cash back, whatever. Those are typically not travel cards, but cashback cards can help you with travel, but that would be a whole nother conversation. I want to focus more on travel cards because they're very direct. Okay, so the third thing you need to have is patience, because like I said about the welcome offer, that's 3 months they give you. Usually it's 90 days. Some of them have 6 months, some of them are 5, 4. The typical is 90 days. Typical is 3 months that you have to get that welcome offer once you get the card. So I say patience because you have to have those points accumulate for you so that you can spend them on your trips. Okay, so I already talked about the 3 things: credit score, your income, and patience, because you're not going to be able to go next month on the trip or in the next maybe 3 months. It may be, I would say at the shortest, it could, depending on how, if it's maybe a national trip, so it's not international, it's domestic, and you're just going maybe to a couple states over, you got a cheap flight there and back, you're staying for maybe a couple days, you might be able to do it within 3 to 6 months. But if you want something where you're doing more international, or you want to stay a little bit longer in a domestic trip, you're going to have to wait a year to 18 months to gather enough points on your credit card in order to do that. So I could talk about so much more about this because there's a lot more details of what I'm telling you, but this is a great start for your journey if you want to, be able to travel on your own for $500 US or less, either domestic or internationally. You need to have those 3 things first: a good credit score, income, good enough income, so I'll say 45K a year or more, and patience. If you start off with those 3 things, you find a travel card that works for you, and you apply for it, you get it, make sure you hit that welcome offer, and then you're on your way. You already have your first card. So if you are interested in getting even more details and want to know more information about how you can do spending $500 US or less for your next trip for 2026, early 2027, then you can contact me directly. You can email me. My email is in my description box below. You can email me and we can set up a time to talk. We can do a one-on-one conversation if you like, because this is more of a generalized thing for everyone. But if you have more of a like, I have this situation or that situation, we can discuss it and I can help you go on your next trip in 2026. And you guys have probably seen my travel vlog in Puerto Vallarta. I did just that. I spent less than $500 US on my own solo trip on my own. I used points and miles. And so I can help you do the same thing for your next trip. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Again, if you want to talk to me one-on-one, you can email me. It's in the description box below and we can figure something out. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.